Hello everyone, welcome to 3DDesignAcademy.com. In this lesson, we will continue with part 9 of the Lamborghini Aventador project. Okay, so in the previous lesson, we spent some time fixing the lore. I think it looks much better. I think it is as intended in the real design, and I'm pretty happy with the result. So now let's go ahead and make adjustments to all the surfaces that we built so far so that they also fit the adjusted surface over here. So before I continue, let me just change the shade back to gray, and I'm just going to hide all the curves like this, and I'm going to make adjustment to this one. Actually, let's go ahead start with this surface over here. So I'm just going to delete this one like this. And I'm just going to make sure everything looks good. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a rail. Okay, so it's going to be gen here. It's going to rail here. It looks like explicit control needs to be on like this. 4 is good. And I'm just going to project over here so that we can retrim it. So I trimmed I don't want to divide. I don't want to keep. That looks good. And now I'm going to also make adjustment to this surface over here. Now for this one, there are a lot of curves, so it's kind of in the way. So let me just get rid of this one. This one is, I think it is for the projection, so I'm just going to leave that. And this one, I'm going to put it in this layer over here. And oh, actually, you know what? I think I need to refit this one because, okay. So right now, because this is a trimmed edge, I actually need to refit it. There's no like natural curve for that. So I'm just going to refit it like this. And I'm going to see if this is the same. So I'm just going to delete the construction history over here. I'm going to snap it over here. And I'm just going to make sure that it is parallel. Okay, so it looks like it's not. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete this one like this. I'm going to delete that surface. And I'm just going to extend this curve over here so that the gesture is exactly the same between the two. I think that looks good. I'm going to, well, actually, I'm just going to leave the curved surface so that I know how high this is. So let me just do a rail like this. Okay, so because I pulled it out, looks like it's a little bit higher, but I think that's okay. I just want to make sure that this line is somewhat straight. Now it's probably curving up a little bit just because we flattened this out. Actually, if we flatten this out, well, actually, let's see. I'm just going to take a fit curve over here like this. And as you can see, because we flattened this, yes, because we flattened this out from the top view, basically it's digging in. And as you can see over here, you'll see that the CV is a little bit lower and it's, the intersection point is rising. However, that's totally fine because I think it looks pretty clean. Now, if it was doing a little wobble, that would be a something to be of concern. But so far, I think everything looks good. So I would say that's good enough. Okay, so let's continue and add some more details. So I think what I'm going to do is, well, actually, let's turn that off. I'm going to add this detail over here. And in order to that, I'm going to go back to this image over here. And looks like there's a little bit of surface break over here. And I'm going to see if I can get a different image. Okay, so it looks like it's going on over here. Okay, so I wonder if this is supposed to be the same edge or if there's a slight break. Now, it might look like there's a break all the way through, even at the edge, but it could be the same surface. So let's see if I can. Now this is the zoom. Oh, okay. So look. Oh, okay. So I think it might be just because it was zoomed out. So I think this edge is the same, but I'm going to add a little bit more detail over here. So let's go ahead and do that. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, let's trim this out. So let's go ahead. Oh, okay. So unfortunately, The canvas image is a little bit low resolution, but that's okay. I'm just going to snap a curve over here along this edge so that the break is consistent with the surface break over here. So I'm just going to do that. Actually, you know what? Let me just bring this these curves. So I'm just going to bring that one. This one probably needs to be a little bit more straight. So I'm just going to bring this one and I'm going to snap it over here. And I'm going to use the stretch tool. Bring it over here and I'm going to turn that off. And this one over here, I'm going to give it a little bit of crown, not too much, like this. I'll probably just bring these curves both a little bit forward. Okay, so I'm just going to, using the rotate, I'm going to lean it back a little bit. I think this one looks good. And it's going to be, the bottom is going to be based on this edge. This edge is going to be the same, but we are going to twist it a little bit more inboard. Okay, so the only curve that is not exactly shown is this one. So let me just do this. I'm going to give it a little bit of crown, not too much. And I'm just going to use the stretch tool. And let's see if the location is good. I think it needs to be a little bit higher. Just looking at the ratio between this and this over here. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. And it looks like it needs to extend beyond the surface break for the wheel flat. So I think that is good. I might just bend this a little bit. And I might do that just a little bit. Actually, you know what? I think it's good over there. Okay, so I think everything looks good over here, and now I'm going to trim it. This surface over here, both of these need a surface break. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, well, actually, let's trim it first. So I'm going to project this one and this one and this one. And I'm just going to say go. I'm going to grab all these curves like this. And I'm going to trim over here, and trim over here. Now it's how it's supposed to be. And I'm just going to I'm going to grab this curve again. And let's see, I'm going to here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to duplicate this curve like that, and I'm going to extend it back over here. And using that one, I'm just going to, stretch tool, come on. Just going to pull that in, and I'm going to give it a little bit of crown. Like this. And I'm just going to use a rail over here to bring it in. Okay, so we got a nice surface difference, a little offset on this side here. And I'm also going to continue that down here. So I'm just going to, again, use the rail tool like this, using this edge over here. Okay, so this curve is not matching. What curve did I use that? Okay, so why is there a difference? Let me just, there shouldn't be. Well, before I continue, let me just well, actually, let me just copy and paste. I'm going to untrim this piece over here. I thought I based it off on this curve over here, but I guess I did not. So why is that? Well, that's okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to, well, this curve, I'm just going to hide. And I'm just going to copy and paste this. And I'm going to just do a fit curve on this. I don't know why there's a difference, but, well, that's okay. And I'm just going to do a rail based on this one over here. So that's done. Okay, because I'm using a rail, the thickness is pretty consistent. I know it's a little bit off here, but that's okay. This is also going to be a little bit inboard, so it actually doesn't really need to match. It just needs to look like it matches. Okay, so that looks good. Now let's just take a look at this view and see what we need to do. Okay. So according to this, there needs to be a little mesh. Let me just make sure. Okay, so I think there's a surface that's also going inboard this way. And okay, so what I'm going to do, and looks like there's a little bit of flat over here. So I'm just going to create a curve like this. I'm going to snap it over here. I'm just going to bring it up, and using the stretch tool, I'm just going to snap it a little bit inboard like this. Probably give it a little bit of crown. Not a bad idea. And I'm going to create a rail over here like this. Now, looks like it's a little bit too long, so just using the curve segment tool, I'm just going to bring it back. Okay, so looks like it won't let me do that. So I probably have to, I'm just going to turn curve segment off, and I probably have to just extend it back. So I'll just leave it like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to snap a curve over here. Actually, it's probably a good idea to follow, for this one to follow this section as well. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to copy this curve again. I'm going to just copy and paste. And I'm just going to go back to the side view. And I'm just going to snap it over here. And I'm going to snap this one over here. Now, for this one, at least from the side view, it looks like it's a little bit shorter. So I probably want to do something like this. And I'm just going to move this one here. And I'm just going to bend it inboard like this. Using the stretch tool. So I'm just going to bend it inboard like that. Probably a good idea to be a little bit shorter. And I'm just going to do a rail here. And I'm going to do a rail over here. Okay, so I think that looks good. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to... Well, looking at the side view, I think this is a little bit more, let's see. Well, maybe I do need to make it a little bit longer. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the extend tool to make it a little bit longer from the side view. And I'll just trim this off. Actually, let me just turn explicit control off on this one as well, on this one, so that's just nice and light 2 and 2 like this. And I'm just going to duplicate this edge, and I'm using the stretch tool. I'm just going to crank it in, because I think it's kind of hard to see in the image, but it's not parallel. Definitely going like this, and I think the top one as well. Oh, the top one I definitely think that needs to be going in. So let me just do that. And it probably goes somewhat like this, so that there's a little bit of room at the top. I think that's good. And actually, I probably want to make it a little bit flat. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to grab this one. I'm just going to grab this one, and I'm just going to rotate it out like this, so that this section, or I guess this edge and this edge, is somewhat complementary from the side view. Okay, so I think that's good. So what I'm just going to project this one over here, and I'm going to project this one over here. I'm going to project this one over here. And because the curve and surface is a little bit short, I'm going to extend this curve as well. Okay, so I'm just going to trim this one and trim this one. And using the stretch tool, I'm just going to snap this one over here. Oh, not to the curve. So I'm just going to hide both of these curves. And I'm just going to use the stretch tool to snap it over here like this. Okay, so I think that looks pretty good. Let's look at it from this side. Okay, we do need a mesh over here. So I'll just do a freeform blend. Position, or you can do skin, doesn't really matter. It's probably, oh, I think the surface looks pretty good. All right, so I'm going to just use explicit control because right now there's a lot of span. Whoa, what happened to that surface? It just disappeared. Okay, looks like there's a little piece right here. I don't know why I did that, but that's okay. I'm just going to, there seems to be a curve and surface there. So I think that's good. And let me just redo this one to make sure that it is actually positional. Oh, why? I don't... Oh, the things that Alias does, I sometimes don't understand. But let me just delete the construction history. And let me just attach a line. Even without history, I don't get it. Okay, so on trim, I'm going to get rid of this curve and surface over here. And I'm going to do a freeform blend from here to here. I just don't get it. Well, but that's okay. I'm just going to delete the construction history on both sides, and let me just untrim this one. I'm going to delete the curve and surface because that's not necessary. And I'm going to do the same thing on the top. And I'm just going to do a freeform blend between this one and this one. Now this one probably has a little bit of twist. Yes, it does. But that's okay. Although, if I want to just make it without a twist, I can always do a rail from this one and this one. And whatever the intersecting edge is, I can just use that as... Well, actually, let me just take a look. Yeah, I think we can do that. So, let's see. Yeah, whatever the edge this intersects, we'll just trim that and use that. Okay, so I think that looks good. So let me just... That's weird. Okay, so I'm just going to untrim this piece over here. I'm going to delete the curve and surface. And I'm also going to... these ones, I think I'm going to just hide in the project layer. And I'm just going to delete the construction history on this one so that it doesn't move about. Okay, so I think that looks good. And what I'm going to do is, because right now this one has a lot of span, I'm going to see if I can do rebuild. Not enough. Okay, so I was, I know it says a 2 and it built, but as you can see with the monorail, it can be deceiving because there's actually a gap over here. So I'm just going to make it a degree 3, and I'm just going to check if it's a positional. It is positional, but I feel like it could probably be tighter. Yes, it can. So in order to check that, you can always use the curve to curve deviation tool. So if you check the distance, you'll see that there's a 0.0056. I know it's a technically position because of the criteria or the construction options that we have set, but I usually like to have it a little bit tighter. So probably something 0.0008 is much better. So I'm just going to do that, and I'm going to intersect this one with this one. And now let's just finish it off with a surface. Oh, let's just go up. I'm going to snap a curve over here. And I'm going to snap a curve somewhere over here so that we can produce this surface over here. Now, let's just take a look at the side view. Looks like it's actually climbing up quite a bit. Oh, not that one. So I say this is probably good. Actually, it looks like from the side view, it actually needs to extend a little bit more. But from this view, it doesn't look like that. So, well, I'll just stick with what we have so far. Okay, it could be due to the perspective of the image. I'm not quite sure, but we'll just leave it. I don't think it's a detail that we need to fret over. Okay, however, we do need a surface over here, so I'm just going to do that. I think I'm going to bring it up just a little bit more. Actually, you know what? Let me just make a little bit of just sure, I'm going to see if I can get another side view. This probably isn't the best. Okay, oh, yeah, this one might be better. Okay, so that gives us a more clear picture. As you can see, it looks like it's actually going in a little bit more. So I think from the side view, I think I'm just going to make sure that it matches exactly. So if that's okay, so let me just delete these ones, and this one I'm just going to extend all the way. Oh, not this curve. I'm just going to extend it all the way through here like this, but I am also going to pull it out a little bit. I'm just going to pull it out like that, and this surface also I'm just going to do a rail again. Let me just do that, and if that's okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a straight draft like this. And that's going to be the grill surface. And whatever surface we have here, I think that's good. And same thing over here. So this one on the other hand, I probably needs to open up a little bit. So I'm just going to do it like that, and I'm going to create a rail like this over here and rail over here. Now from the side view, well, this is actually not the best perspective. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, let's see, I'm going to find a different image. Yeah, I do definitely think that this needs to go in. This opens up quite a lot, but the top one doesn't. I'm going to see if I can find a different side view and see if it can find some more details. Maybe that was the best one. Okay, so as you can see over here, this goes almost all the way. I think there's a little perspective, so I think that's why that's the reason why we are able to see this mesh over here. But I think I'm just going to leave it like that. The bottom one does come up a little bit, this bottom surface. So let's see, I'm going to just give it a little perspective. I think the bottom one could probably be lowered just a hair. So I'm just going to grab this one. Oops. Maybe just lower it like that. Then we got a nice edge over here. And the top one, I think I would say that's good enough. Okay, so let me just make sure that from the perspective rear view, that looks good. I think it does. Actually, I think I probably need to open this up a little bit more. So I'm just going to bring this out like this so that it does open up. It gives a little bit more space for the mesh. I would say that's good enough. And that's the case, let me just make sure that this is intersecting. So just straighten Y. And let's just check the side view. So probably this one, I probably need to pull it in a little bit. Like that. I think that looks good. The top, I think, oh, it needs to go in a little bit more. But as far as the how much it appears, I think that's totally fine as well. Okay, so now let's go ahead and just extend this piece over here like that. And, oh, actually I need to extend here as well. Like that. And I'm going to go ahead and, because right now there's a curve in the middle, so actually, you know what? I can just place it over here. So that's the span in the middle is it's gone. So I think that's all I need to do. All right, so let's go ahead. Actually, maybe I just want to match that. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to intersect this piece with this one, and I'm going to create a new curve for using these edges. And I'm going to just create a rail here to here. And I'm going to create a rail here and here. And let me just extend this curve so that they all match. The intersection is very similar, if not exactly the same. I think that's much better. And I think that looks pretty good. Okay, so let's go ahead and just trim. So I'm just going to trim all the surfaces like this. Over here as well. And I think that looks good. Okay, so trim here, trim this piece over here. Now, eventually, well, right now I'm just roughly trimming it. But eventually what I would have to do is I probably need to offset the surface a little bit, because if you see this image over here, this one over here, the mesh probably is offset a little bit more inboard. So, and we probably need to do a little bit of finish on this surface as well. So when I'm putting in the final touch, that's when I'll do all those details. But as far as this surface goes, I think it looks pretty good, and I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, so that is it for part 9. We will continue in the next tutorial, and thank you guys for watching.